volunteers aren't paid, not because they're worthless, but because they are priceless. This quote by Sherry Anderson is my favorite because it sums up volunteering so well. Being a volunteer means giving up your time, giving up your resources, all to help a cause. And that in and of itself is just as rewarding as being paid. But at being a volunteer, you don't realize just how much you are appreciated. And I hope this short video goes a very long way to show just how much we value and appreciate everything you do for us.
My favourite thing is the community. I can go there as a black woman who is a Buddhist, and no one cares. No one gives a monkeys. It's all about you as a person. And what I love about New Unity is that they're a bunch of dissenters, and I'm one of the greatest dissenters. And you know, they're really big on social justice and you know, caring for people.
I think the connection between the current activities and the really forward-looking modern community and its wonderful historical roots, I think, you know, that's what really makes it unique and distinctive.
I think it's not a single moment, but the fact of how things have changed so hugely over the past 13 and a half years. When I started, there were maybe 6 volunteers, and now there are at least 40. It's made an enormous difference to who New Unity is and what we're capable of doing, and what we're capable of doing in the world and doing for each other.
My experience has been, you know, the musicians who have come forward to donate a piece of music, even though it's really tough for them at the moment, considering a lot of contracts have been terminated or postponed, maybe indefinitely. And so I really appreciate the dedication and the time spent donating music to New Unity for the virtual Sunday gatherings.
I would firstly like to say thank you everyone for your kind of patience and perseverance. There's been times where we've tried to get things started, and then we've had you know, quite a lot of building delays, which isn't particularly anyone's fault, but it's meant that plans have had to change. And then obviously we've had the pandemic, so it meant that a lot of the things that we were going to have planned, we were supposed to be opening in Easter, and there was going to be all sorts of opportunities for volunteers, and they're kind of on hold at the moment. So a lot of people that have expressed interest in volunteering are still staying in touch, and that's very, very much appreciated, because it's quite a difficult time. We don't want to lose any engagement. We definitely don't want to lose any enthusiasm who wants to help us out in the future. So I would just I really appreciate that. And people like Stephanie, for example, who has been putting an awful lot of time voluntarily into the redevelopment of the meeting house, and sharing her invaluable knowledge and skill with us, has meant that it's made the task of getting the meeting house to be a fully accessible building a lot less stressful than it would have been without her.
I don't think I can barely begin. The reality that we have so many volunteers is unusual, and it is exciting, and it is heartwarming, and it speaks to the dedication of the kind of people who show up at New Unity.
I would say that I'm most grateful for the people who give up their time with passion to make sure that, you know, we're represented in the community. Things like the social justice team and the things that they've done against the the road landlords. That, you know, that is a phenomenal piece of work.
There's always a brightness, I think, that comes from a volunteer, and you know, a brightness of kindness and sharing and wanting to do good, and that comes along in the attitude and the face, and you know, a smile. And those, to me, I know you do much more than just smiling and being nice, but those are the first things we see, isn't it? And I don't know, I think there's something special about being a volunteer, that, yeah, being able to volunteer your time and give.
Volunteer support means survival. I think because it's a very, very small staff team, and in my time of being a trustee, we've brought on new people. You know, before there were probably was Andy and probably two or three other people. It's survived because volunteers are supporting with things such as administration and, you know, fundraising.
Everything we do is bottom up. It comes from the congregation, it comes from our desire to do things to make a difference. And so everything we do is informed by volunteer activity, whether that be everything from opening the building for meetings to running a meditation group to putting on coffee and tea, to having a music event, to singing, to doing a reading. That's it. We have very little, you know, staff. We have effectively 2 people, you know, in total, including the minister. Everything else has to be done by and for the congregation, and that is a volunteer effort, and that's what makes it a living thing rather than some sort of passive event, you know, and that's what's exciting.
I think a big part of the volunteer project that we haven't been able to start yet is the meet and greet the front of house volunteers, because it's really important that, you know, this building is such an important building for London's history, not just Hackney and Islington and Newington Green's history. And so we're really reliant on volunteers helping us keep that open so that the community can come and go into this building and learn about the history and stories and see how they can be involved.
Somewhere like New Unity and the Newington Green Meeting House, it's such an important thing for a community to have, you know, an important space, an important environment, connecting factor for the community. And it's got huge beneficial ambitions for society in general, but small income compared to, and, you know, vast other organizations. And so, and the volunteers just is what makes that possible, makes those beneficial contributions to society possible. Without that, organizations like New Unity and the Meeting House wouldn't have the means to be able to carry on into the future and affect so many lives in such a positive way.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It can be a thankless task, and I hope that you do find it rewarding. You are making a huge difference to people at New Unity and to the larger world, and thank you for all that you do. In most organizations, the volunteers are a side thought. Volunteers are the people you get to do the work when there's a little bit of things that are left over from the staff, a little bit here, a little bit there. New Unity is a completely different kind of organization. We have very little staff, and our volunteers are in charge. Our volunteers are responsible for everything. Our volunteers are what matters and what makes New Unity strong, what makes New Unity capable of doing what it does. New Unity wouldn't be without volunteers. Volunteers is almost the wrong word. because volunteers are who we are.
Thank you, volunteers!